Hey art friends! Today we're going to talk about an artist named Keith Haring. Keith Haring. And I have this book called Kid Artists, and there's a ton of different little short stories about famous artists when they were kids and when they grew up. And so I'm going to read just a couple pages in here about Keith Haring. I won't read the whole thing. But Keith Haring is an American artist. And so I'm going to read you what it says here. What if you could draw like a kid and become a well-known artist? Keith Haring did just that. His bold and colorful illustrations of crawling babies, dancing people, barking dogs, and rocking robots helped make him one of the most beloved artists of the 1980s. I can make any kid smile, Keith Haring once boasted. It's probably from having a funny face and looking and acting like a kid. Kids can relate to my drawings because of the simple lines. One of Keith's most famous artistic creations was a vibrant, glowing infant known as the Radiant Baby. In the 1980s, Keith became famous for drawing this fun image on walls all over New York City. So that is an illustration of Keith Haring and his Radiant Baby. And so Keith Haring was born in Pennsylvania, and when he was a kid, he would draw with his dad, and they would take turns drawing lines on a piece of paper to create one piece of art together. And he would make artwork with his little sister, and they would do different projects. But there's his Radiant Baby again, and his barking dog, and dancing people. And then when he was a teenager, he won an art contest. His teacher encouraged him to enter an upcoming art contest held in honor of America's bicentennial celebration in 1976. And so he made a map of the United States and put pictures in each state and won the art contest. And then he moved to New York City, where he would draw on subway walls, and people would take his paintings from the walls and try to sell them or put them in their art collections. It's Radiant Baby again. And so he became a famous street artist where he would literally draw on the street with chalk. How many of you have ever taken chalk outside and you drew pictures on the street or the road or your sidewalk? That's what Keith Haring did. And so a lot of his artwork was really simple. Here's some examples of stuff that he would do. Sometimes he would change the head of his dancing figures to something silly, like this hand. But a lot of times his people were bold colors with black outlines, and they would be dancing, and he would draw that on the walls of subway stations or just walking down the street. So I actually have this cool little action figure guy, well, vinyl figure. These pop characters, I got Keith Haring. So this is my little Keith Haring, just like the artist. You can see he's got a little cup of paint and a paintbrush, and then on his shirt is one of his characters that he would draw. So little Keith Haring for you there. So today we are going to draw some pictures like Keith Haring. You're going to draw people dancing, some figures dancing like his that he would draw on the walls. But do not draw on your wall at home. Keith Haring did that once when he was a kid and got in big trouble with his mom. Sometimes he'd get in trouble in New York for drawing on the walls too. So don't draw on the walls. You can draw on the sidewalk with chalk. But today we're going to draw with pencils and crayons and markers, whatever you have to use at home. So I'm going to show you a couple ways you can draw your dancing characters. Remember, they don't need to have faces. Keith Haring didn't draw any faces on his pictures. But you are going to draw at least 3 big enough on your paper. And then in the background, I want you to draw lots of lines and designs. So you're just going to color your people one color, but then your background is going to have lots of different lines. I'm going to put examples of what you're going to do underneath this video, so you can look at some of the different examples. You don't have to copy them. You can come up with your own ideas, but I want you to look at the examples just to see what kind of stuff you can do. All right, so I think it would be easiest to start with the head. So you're going to do a circle without finishing it. So just like that. And then think of how you want your figure to be dancing. Where are their arms going to be? What position are their legs going to be? So I'm just going to draw an arm going up like that, and now an arm going down like that. So it's going to be kind of like a fun little dance. So I drew one line going this way and one line going that way. And since we're going to color the inside, we need to have a line next to it. So draw a second line right next to your arm that you just drew. So you'll be able to color something. Because if you just have one line, you can't color it. Now for the hands, I'm just going to have a little curve right there. And then the body is just going to be two straight lines going down. And then I'm going to draw some legs. And so same thing with the legs. I can draw a line just like before, but I need to have a line next to it like that. It's going to come straight across. And then another little curve for his feet. All right, and then you would color that in. And so, pause. All right, so I colored it with just one color. Now, if that is too hard to do the outline first, then an easier way that you can draw these dancing guys is just take your color you're going to use, whether that's a crayon or a marker, and you can just start by coloring it. So I'm just going to draw a circle for the head, and I'm going to go ahead and color that in. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle for the body and color that in. And then I'm going to draw, just kind of color the arms dancing. A little circle for the hand. And then color some legs dancing. So I'm not drawing lines this time, I'm just coloring. So if this is easier for you to do, then you can do that. And then after you have colored it, take a darker color, like a black crayon, and then outline what you just colored. So you're still looking like a Keith Haring picture with those bold, dark outlines. You're doing it kind of the opposite way of the first drawing that I showed you. So either way, whatever works best for you, I want you to, you could do both and just figure out which one's easier for you, and then create your other people looking like that. All right. And then look at the examples to see different ways you can do your background. Okay, have fun. Don't forget to submit your artwork and show me what you've made.